to look out the window from the space station, a space shuttle, or any spacecraft and view the Earth is just a magnificent experience to see all of the details of the planet's surface. The planet is vibrant when you look at it. I mean, we are endeavoring in search for life elsewhere. It's very obvious that there's life on Earth. It speaks of a vibrancy of life.
I had a reporter ask me today, what was the most beautiful thing? And it's like, oh, how do you pick? Because there's just so many different things that are so beautiful. Everything from the glaciers in the Patagonia, the coral reefs in the Caribbean, just even the warm color that gets reflected off the planet into the station when you're passing over the northern Africa, the Sahara Desert. Just that peachy color comes up through the station.
When I've gone to schools and talked to kids, I've mentioned what you see from space, what you see from when you look out the window, particularly at the planet, because that's pretty neat. So there's two impressions that that have stuck with me, and one which you've probably heard before is when you look at the planet, you see craters, you see cracks, you see different colors of the oceans. You sort of look at our planet like we would look at the moon or Mars, and you see all those other things, not necessarily countries. You just see big land masses and you wonder what smashed into it at some point in time, or how did that crack become there. That's what you think about. You don't think about that there are borders between countries. And it's really obvious that those borders are just what we draw on a piece of paper. They're not really there. It's also amazing to look out into space and see the millions and millions of stars out there, and they're crystal clear. You know, because we're up in space, above the atmosphere, the stars don't twinkle. And so you could see them like points of light, and you can actually see in space, it's 3D. It doesn't look like just this black sphere that is over our heads, and that's, I think, the perception we get from here on the ground. But when you're up in space and you look out there, you can see that blackness goes on forever. You can tell that the stars, some of them are closer, some of them are farther. It's pretty awesome.
I think the most exciting thing about Space Station is the fact that we're starting to do what I call kind of basic research or discovery kind of science. Space Station makes us think about systems and operations in a different way. For example, Don Pettit did some Saturday morning science activities where he took essentially a paper clip and he was going to put a soap film on it and then make a soap bubble and then look at that in space. Well, he made the paper clip and then dipped it in some water, and it turned out it actually made a thicker film than a soap film bubble, but it made a thin film bubble just like it would with soap on it, but it didn't require soap because it was zero gravity. So then he took that little water bubble kind of thing, and then he put some salt in it from his lunch kit, and then grew some thin film or thick film crystals in 2D. He then shared that with some of his physics professors down on the ground, and all of a sudden they started thinking about, well, we can do some pretty clever things in space without gravity. So again, he triggered that portion of the imagination we don't often think about.
Well, the gee whiz thing is the zero gravity. Having a long-term laboratory with zero gravity is very unique, and I think it's one that I hope that we will reap the benefits from in the future from a scientific perspective in a much more active way.
We changed as a species when we conquered fire, when we put wind in our sails and connected little tribes of 20 and 30 people into nations of 20 and 30 million. Certainly electricity, magnetism, radiation, the understanding of chemistry and the basics of the genetic code. And now we've started to understand that last force of nature, gravity. And just in our generation, we've started to understand that when you take gravity away and we're reduced from the field that we and every species has seen for the existence of our planet, this generation finally gets to see what happens when you reduce that field. Other than the other physical forces of nature, such as electricity, which are their own force, gravity affects the balance of all the integrated systems we see. And so it could become the most important technological tool of all, beyond fire, beyond wind, beyond electricity. We see its pervasive effect, and to be the first generation that gets to explore that, it really sort of tingles to realize we may be changing the course of human destiny.
The environments under which life has evolved on Earth swing from high temperature environments to low temperature environments, from high pH environments to low pH environments, from being damp to being dry. Nature has thrown almost any angle, any parameter it can vary at life, and life still seems to hang on. If you look at gravity and gravity effects on life, that has remained constant. It's one of the few things through the whole evolution of life on this planet that has not varied at all. It's as if Earth is a tender incubator carefully holding the gravitational field constant for the evolution of life. And that is another aspect about the weightless environment in an orbiting a spacecraft, is the ability to look at life sciences on a scale that life has never seen or experienced before in all the billions of years that life has been on planet Earth.
All over the planet, no matter where you go, there are stone circles that marked the passing of the seasons, the rising and set of the sun, the equinoxes, whether it's Stonehenge or the moon circles here in North America. Every culture, everywhere on the planet has shared the sky and dreamed about it for thousands, tens of thousands of years. And to be in the place where this generation gets a chance to make that happen, to be part of it, the languages and the cultures seem to fade, and you see the same twinkle in every eye of look at what it is that we get to do.